When you go fishing with your friends or family, you most likely do it for the thrill of fishing, the hope of catching a big fish, and to just have fun, right? But for some people, this is their livelihoods. And they need to catch big fish in order to make a big payday. Which is why certain fisheries will pay big bucks for big fish that they can sell at the market. But just how big do these fish get, and how much are they worth? Allow us to show you 10 of the most expensive caught fish of all time. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
Number 10. Tuna. As we're going to show you on this list, tuna is a very valuable fish, especially in America and Japan, where there is a lot of people who try and catch various kinds of this fish, because they know the value of it in the two markets. In a fishery in Japan, there is a market on the artificial island of Toyosu that has deals for tuna go into the six figures, such as one going for $178,000, one for $230,000, and one that went all the way to $730,000. To be clear, these prices were tied to the content and the weight of the tuna. The biggest one was 593 pounds. This just goes to show you just how big and important it is to get these big fishes and sell them to the fisheries. Number 9. Barramundi fish. It's fair to say that certain kinds of fishing is meant to attract tourists as well as big game fishers who are trying to prove their worth. But in Darwin, Australia, they decided to take things in a different direction by luring people to the town by offering money for a specific fish. You see, they went and got themselves 72 barramundi fish, put them in local waters, and tagged them to ensure that they knew which ones were part of the contest. If you were to go and catch this fish, you would automatically get $10,000. Doesn't matter the size or what's inside of it. And yes, if you are curious, if you're able to catch more than one of these tagged barramundi fish, you would get $10,000 each. Of course, that is a rare and hard thing to do, as the contest has been likened to winning the lottery. Which brings us to the very special barramundi fish that is within this pack. Because one of the 75 fish has a tag that, if caught and presented, will win you $1 million. No joke. Bet you're already planning that trip to Australia, right? Number 8. Taimen.
That's like a big diamond. Look at this beautiful animal. Look, these big eyes.
The taimen is a kind of salmon, one that is much more valuable than your average ordinary salmon. You'll find it in the waters of Sakhalin, and it can be 6.5 feet in length and 176 pounds. That's impressive, and what's more impressive is that if you catch one of these fish in their prime, you can get a payday of over $5,500 for just one taimen. Plus, if there are fish eggs inside of it, aka caviar, the price goes even higher, because that's a delicacy item that people are always willing to pay for. Granted, there are some restrictions in place like Russia, but it's still quite a fish to get for that amount of money, and many fishermen will definitely go out to try and get one for themselves. Number 7. Bluefin tuna.
Over the curve to the 40. 92 3/4. 92, baby. What is it? Check this out. Watch this.
Believe it or not, the bluefin tuna is one of the most sought after fish in the waters. So much so that there have even been TV shows set in major bluefin tuna fisheries to show the importance and dangers of getting one on the line. If you're able to catch one, it can be worth about $20 to $40 a pound, which is not something you expect. That means that if you were to get, say, a 200-pound bluefin, that's at minimum $4,000. But wait, it gets even sweeter. While the United States is the place where this fish is caught and sold the most, Japan has a much higher pay scale for them. So thus, if a fisherman catches a really nice bluefin tuna, you get a price of $200 per pound. There have been bluefin tuna caught that have been worth many tens of thousands of dollars based on size and weight. And that's why it's a very big fishery out on the east coast of the United States, with many trying to test their luck by getting a big one. Number 6. Fugu fish.
Hieroglyphs used for its name can be translated as river piglet. Looks funny and harmless, but terribly poisonous.
The fugu fish is honestly one of the most dangerous fish you can have served to you at a restaurant. Which is saying something for the record. This is due to the fact that it's a poisonous fish. Granted, if you were to get it in a place like Japan, their chefs are infinitely skilled and thus are able to go and get the poison out of the fish no problem. But if you try and serve it yourself, you can get sick and die, and that's been proven time and time again. Now, if you're wanting to go and try to catch this fish, you can get it without much trouble, as it's not that big. Yet, people pay $100 to $500 for it. Then, when it's served in places like Japan, they'll sell a few scraps of the meat for $120. Number 5. Pearl stingray.
Today something very exotic, the albino red-eye pearl stingray.
The pearl stingray is a very special kind of freshwater fish, and it's one that lives in the Amazon's rivers. One of the things that separate this fish from its other ray brethren is the pattern on its back. Its numerous circles give a very psychedelic feeling that not only mesmerizes people, but it can help the stingray blend into the muddy waters of the Amazon River, and thus blend totally out of sight, thus keeping it safe from predators and luring prey to it unsuspectingly. It's also one of the rarer stingrays on the planet, so much so that when they're caught and put into captivity, they're known to not breed, and thus make the population even more scarce. For a single pearl stingray, you can get $50,000. It won't be an easy catch though, count on that. Number 4. Aravan. The Aravan, as they are known, have another name that might surprise you, the dragonfish. And just as surprisingly, they've been on Earth since about the time of the dinosaurs. It's called the dragonfish because of how its body looks like it has scales, not unlike a dragon of mythology. Speaking of mythology, in the various Asian cultures, it's believed that if you have this fish as a pet, you'll get good luck and great wealth. So naturally, a lot of people want one. But that doesn't mean that they can afford them, as these fish cost $80,000 per fish. Oh, but that's not all. The Aravan come in various colors depending on their circumstances. And when a very rare pearl-colored one came around, a man from Singapore bought it for $400,000. Showing just how much this fish is worth and how much a single person is willing to pay to get the lucky fish. Number 3. Kaluga sturgeon. In 2014, a Chinese fisherman caught a Kaluga sturgeon that weighed 1,360 pounds. On any fish that's not a shark, this would be a momentous catch and something to be proud of. Not to mention that they caught this fish while they were on the river, which meant that they had to fight the waters and the fish just to get it in a very small boat. But the payoff was literally worth it, as this Kaluga sturgeon came in price-wise at over $200,000. Now, before you rush off to go and get a sturgeon of this size, there are a few things that made this one extra special. First, the size of it was honestly enormous, even for sturgeon. But also, do you remember that taimen we talked about earlier? Well, like that first, this sturgeon had over 200 pounds of caviar in it. Thus, it drove up the price in a major way. Number 2. Beluga sturgeon. Not to be confused with the other sturgeon that we just talked about, but in Russia, on one of its rivers, a massive beluga sturgeon was caught over 80 years ago. By massive, we mean that it weighed nearly 2,700 pounds. And it too had caviar in it, over 300 pounds of it. While obviously there have been changes in the amounts this fish is worth, if you put it onto today's scales, you'd get closer to $300,000 for it. And it's because of prices like this that many fish species are protected by law, as they don't want fishermen coming in to try and poach just to get rich. Number 1. The world record fish.
Oh, man! Oh, you big fat sucker!
We've shown you a lot of different fish and a lot of different prices for said fish. But what is the biggest one ever caught and sold for a big price? For that, you need to head to New Zealand, to the catch of one Donna Pasquan, who, with a very basic rod and reel, found herself catching a 907 megafish. After catching this monster fish, she was able to make over $2 million. Oh yeah, that's very true. And hopefully now you see why these fishermen and fisherwomen go all out to try and catch the big catch, because it could set them for life. So what do you think? What do you think of these caught fish that sold big on the market? Can you believe the amount of money these fish sold for? Do you understand now why people go all out to get these kinds of catches? Do you think you could try and get some fish worth this much? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.